The Lord, hey, fella, tap him. The Lord just said, I just woke up an egg. However you gotta handle it, go ahead. I said, however you gotta handle it, go ahead.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Prescribed Truth. I'm Jamal Bandy, the one who seeks to distribute the truth that the doctor prescribes to the church and the world today. I got a response. We got a viewer response, a viewer comment concerning this situation. Matter of fact, somebody who has an inside scoop, the inside knowledge of the situation. The viewer comment said this: well, the guy he told that to about the egg, his wife had a baby back in November. So he is, in fact, a true prophet. Exclamation mark. But this is the thing, guys. The video that I responded to probably happened somewhere back in January or maybe in February, whatever the case may be, earlier in the year 2024. I covered it somewhere in July, I believe. In November, having a child, and it's like, hey, this was the egg that God says he's waking up. Him and his wife is trying to have children. God woke up the egg. And you know what? To be fair, I give credit to the understanding that, hey, now we got some understanding as to what this egg being woken up is all about. Hey, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Now, let's talk about this for a second. Back when I started this channel in 2017, I did a series of videos talking about why I prescribe truth, why I started this channel. And it's because I came from a cult. I was in a cult, a prophetic cult, an apostolic cult, whatever. The prophet or the so-called apostle, whatever case may be, would prophesy certain things. And it seemed to be that God was listening to him, that he had the ear of God, because what he said, it seemed to be that it would come to pass. And so I offered two suggestions. God says he's gonna wake up an egg. And could it be that God was basically letting him know that he was going to give his family a child? Let me know in the comments below. What do you think about stuff like that? This is what I offered her as scenarios as to what happened here. Because she was able to come back with an update, my suggestion is probably that the young man is a member of the church. And also in the video, if you look real closely, you can see that the young man has a wedding ring on. It is clear that he is married. If he's a member of the church, most likely, especially in churches like this, most likely the pastor already knows that him and his wife are trying for children. And so this would be a stretch to say, just because he looked at him and said, God said he's gonna wake up an egg, to say that was prophetic and now that came to pass, and look at God, he's a true prophet. No, he already knows they're looking for children. He just basically in a way praying for them. But saying God said. And just because they end up having children doesn't mean it was due to the prophecy that was spoken by this person. It was because God wanted them to have kids. The thing is, guys, God gives clear messages, clear testimony, clear prophecy. God will be very clear about what it is that he expects to do. And I'm also want to let you know this. When God promised or looked at people and said, hey, you're going to have a child, it wasn't just because they were looking to have children. He was telling them because that child would serve a purpose. Every instance you have in the Bible where God is coming to an individual saying, I'm going to give you a child. I'm going to give you a son. Don't worry, you're barren, but I'm going to give you a child. Yes, Sarah, you think you're too old to have children, but you will bear a son. It's because God had a special purpose for that child that led up to the Messiah. Isn't it funny that after the angel prophesied about Jesus' birth, people just had children regularly? And I'm pretty sure people still had children regularly up until the time Jesus was born, and people just had children. Married couples had children. Look at the scriptures. Every situation led up to Christ. And once Christ was born, no more announcements made about children. None. If he's a member, the pastor would know, cover that. Cool. Now, let's go for instance, if this person does not go to this church regularly. Well, there's some inferences that can be made. Due to the man having a wedding ring, it will let you know he's married. And because most likely, if you're married, you want children. And even if you already have children, that doesn't mean that you don't want more children. He could have been made a good guess. Looked at him, saw the wedding ring, and then because some feeling he had in himself about, you know what, I see he's married, he probably wants children. God said he's gonna wake up an egg. So making a good guess by looking at the individual, paying attention. Because think about it, one thing we forget, that you're looking at one person up there. When you're in the audience, y'all are all looking at the pastor or the preacher. But you forget that the preacher is observing all of you. When he's talking, he's looking around, he's seeing everything. He's seeing everything, guys. And he's paying attention to everything. So don't think for a second that this individual couldn't be up there paying attention to this young man having a wedding ring on, standing there, looking at the service, and felt the need to say something to him. Now, guys, I'm going to share an instance from my past dealing with someone who claimed to be a true prophet and who I believed at one time was a true prophet. See, the cult leader that I sat under back in 2009 and 2009, 2010, he would prophesy cars, jobs, but guess what? He knew that people were looking for jobs. He knew that people were out of work and they were actively looking. So he would tell them, God said, you're going to get that job. But this is what he did one time. And I specifically remember this. When I was thinking about this situation, this came up to my remembrance. He prophesied to a young lady that God's going to bless her with a car. Oh, she shouted, she praised, danced, and everything else in celebration for God's prophecy, for this word of God that he's going to give her a car and she ain't got to worry about it. And he said it's going to be paid for. That's what he said. He said it's going to be paid for. You ain't got to worry about nothing. It's going to be paid for. God going to give it to you. Well, so time went by. The young woman did not have this car. You know, no one just gave her a car. And just like how we were back then, she was like, she's not going to worry about it. She didn't go looking for a car. She didn't go to a dealership or none of that. She said, God going to give her a car. She said she's going to wait on it. So she continued to get rides from everybody. But one day, our pastor decided during church to throw her some keys. And he threw her keys to his car, to his old car, because he had got another one. And how did he get the other car? I was one who co-signed for it. And just sharing y'all some information for things I did back then, how deep I was in this cult. Because I'm the one who had good credit back then. Ooh-wee. And that's how he was able to get a new car. He didn't have the money. The down payment for the car came from the church. We funded the down payment for this new car, and I co-signed it because his credit was bad. Yeah, we were foolish. That was a cult, and I'm telling you. You may not have dealt with this. Mark House may not be doing this kind of stuff. I don't know many who are like the cult leader I was under back then. But then again, there are some. There are still some out there. And this is why this channel exists. I did recover. My credit is fine now. It's fine now. After he got the car, as we gave him the keys and everything else, he gave her the keys to his old car. And so she drove the apostle's old car. Man, I'm trying to tell you, she cried and everything else because, you know, God said that he was going to bless her with a car that's paid for, and his old car was paid for. And so he blessed her with his car. Now, I am grateful the fact that he would have given her a car. But my thing is this, guys. When you give prophecy and you say that God said, you have to deliver. It has to come to pass. The Bible says if it does not come to pass, then you are a false prophet. You are. So what better way to make sure that no one looks at you as a false prophet? Be the avenue of which something comes. Be the one in which these things come. He promised jobs. Well, eventually was able to get a business established with the church. And he employed some of the church people. God said he was going to give them a job. Now they got jobs. And so though these things took time to come, these was his things to say, hey, I'm a true prophet. God gave you what he said he was going to do. What I'm saying is that my situations have taught me some things concerning how manipulation works and how deep it can go. And so especially when you're a member of a church and the pastor knows information concerning you and he's claiming to be a prophet, it is very important, very imperative that they make sure that these things have some type of relevance. If not, then he's way off and will be exposed as a false prophet. I also see how Bishop Mark House actually does his prophecies. He's very vague with his prophecies. He's very unclear with his prophecies. Why? Because he doesn't want to come out as being exposed as a false prophet. But notice that the prophets of the Bible who were unashamed of being a prophet of the Bible, who didn't care who was listening, because that's what he always says. Like, I'm saying this because, you know, people are listening. So I want to tell you, that's what he kind of does sometimes. Look, true prophets of God ain't caring who listen because God's speaking. It is the Lord, and the Lord does not care about privacy. If he wants you to know something, and if he wants you to know right now, you need to know exactly what he's saying right now. It ain't for no secret. You be clear. That's what it was. If it was prophesied that you finna die because of your sin, everybody gonna know about it. So this is my question to the young lady or anyone else who could be a part of this church. Do you believe that this young man was a part of this church? And if he was a part of the church, do you understand how this possibly could not be true prophecy, that he's making an inference based on what he already knows concerning the individual? If he's not a part of the church, can you understand how the pastor can observe everything that's around him and understand that, you know what, this person is married, could be looking for children. You know, I believe God gonna give him a child. And then he prophesies that to them. And it could be out of good intentions of the heart. I'm not saying he's up there trying to be a wolf, but what it is that he's doing off of his feelings and it's not God. It's dangerous, and God is still not pleased with things like that, regardless of the intention of your said heart. Guys, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you again for the viewer who submitted this comment. Thank you for giving me an update concerning the situation. Thank you for clarifying what he could have meant by an egg. But this also raises more questions. And I would still advise you guys, steer clear of Bishop Mark House. Steer clear of his preaching. Steer clear of his ministry, because it's not biblical. It's not. And if you want me to cover more content concerning this ministry, let me know. I will. But I don't want to beat the dead horse if it's not necessary. I want these videos to be helpful to you guys. So let me know in the comments below what you think. And remember, this world is full of errors, but the only thing that the doctor prescribes is truth. Until next time, blessings.